Welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. As always, I am your host, Fearless Floyd, and welcome to part 4 of 4 Todd Duell Deep Dive Down the Record. So, for the last three 2-hour videos, we've been perusing the record of Todd Duell. Some caveats before the cat gets out the bag tonight. First of all, this was never intended to be a hit piece on Todd. As you remember, my first ideation, and the reason it even piqued my interest, is I heard his name from 2 different people in a 24-hour period that had no connection, and I was like, okay. And then I heard U.S. Tax Court. So, as I prefaced, it's always been read all this material initially when I first got it. Gene Keating's Prison Treatise, Redemption Manual, Cracking the Code, man, you name it, I had it. And it was my determination. This was even before I was, I was after I had litigated. And I was like, it seems like the final relief wouldn't be against in a U.S. court, a district court. It wouldn't be in bankruptcy court. Wouldn't even be in that whole system. That's why there's a separate system for the U.S. tax court, and I imagine there's one separate for the federal court of claims. So when you want to sue the government, you got to go to the federal court of claims. Well, we always know that the United States is a corporation, subsidiaries of the 50 states, and then the subsidiaries of the 50 states are the counties, and subsidiaries of the counties and parishes in New Orleans are obviously the cities and townships and municipalities, and go on from there. And then they give y'all permission to operate y'all's businesses and give y'all licenses and charge y'all fees. And oh yeah, that parasitic entity called government. So that was always my determination, that in this process it seemed like the final restitutorial how's that for tongue twister, restitution entity would be the U.S. tax court or federal court of claims. I was leaning more towards federal court of claims, but U.S. tax court, it makes sense. You could do a multi-jurisdictional filing. So that even makes more sense, actually, because the bonds are in favor of the United States, right? That's the whole thing when you're dealing with these bonds. So I have not vetted the process because I don't even know what the process looks like. I mean, I kind of got a gist of it, but until somebody wants to tell me how it works, I've had people tell me, but, I haven't heard from the horse's mouth. And again, I graciously invited Todd to come on the show. And you see we're on hour 7. And no Todd, even though I've read the invitation, I did. So I've been involved in a lot of different of these communities, over in the QAnons and those guys, even, over there, Wano Savin and the crazy conspiracy stuff that just seems to be over the top. The RV community with the currency exchange, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of people out there just not telling y'all the truth. And the truth really matters. But, if you have a feeling you're getting lied to, but you overlook it, that's on you. You should trust your intuition because your intuition's telling you. If it sounds too good to be true, more likely than not, that's just what it is. Do you see anybody getting these big handouts? Unless they're buddy with somebody. But, I've been sober 23 years now, since May 10th, 2002. And part of that journey for me has been is being able to recognize when I step over the line, become an enabler, trying to help somebody else that doesn't. Being around too many triggers, and I really don't have those, or being around negative people in general, or being around problematic people that have some type of baggage, whatever that looks like, every kind of issue. So my recovery, my journey, mine's been a little bit different. And, I've had to learn over time that, you're just like an addict. You have to keep going back. You have to keep going back. You have to just keep that serotonin, that adrenaline, that excitement. You just, you've got to live it every day. Now you're that junkie, and you're just strung out on that hopium, and you didn't even realize you got strung out on it. So there's a lot of people out there selling hopium. Yeah, they're doing dime bags, nickel bags, quarter bag, 50-cent bags, the $197 bags. And there's some out there that are just tens of thousands, folks. Believe it or not, yeah. Y'all trip out if y'all just heard some of the conversations that I had. So in this, what we have here is I went to Chat GPT, and I wanted to put in denial, but I wanted it to really break it down for me. So let me tell you exactly what I asked for. I need a complex definition of denial in the context of a concept so rewarding that participants overlook clear evidence to the contrary. This is the first presentation it gave me. Here's a nuanced, complex definition for that context. I did this in part 3, but I want to reiterate it at the beginning before I get into all the facts, okay? Because that's all we're going to talk about tonight are facts, provable facts, 100% facts, not my facts, okay? I didn't create any of this evidence. We're going to go look at the record. Denial. Conceptual psychological context, a cognitive and affective state in which individuals, groups, or systems persistently reject, reinterpret, or minimize objective evidence or contradictory information because the perceived benefits, emotional, social, financial, or ideological, associated with adherence to a particular concept, belief, or practice are so compelling that acknowledging reality would provoke significant psychological discomfort, loss of identity, or forfeiture of reward. This form of denial functions both as a protective mechanism against cognitive dissonance and as an enabling structure that perpetrates engagement with the concept despite overwhelming contrary data. So it asked me, if you want, I can also craft a version that reads like a sociological philosophical critique, highlighting the too rewarding to abandoned aspect more sharply. It becomes almost an analysis of a systematic self-deception. Do you want me to do that? And I said, sure. Here's a sociological philosophical version emphasizing the, quote, too rewarding to abandon, close quote, aspect. Get it? Denial, sociological philosophical context. A sustained and often collective suspension of critical appraisal, wherein individuals or communities consciously or unconsciously disregard, distort, or rationalize contradictory evidence because the object of their devotion, an idea, practice, ideology, or institution offers such potent psychological, social, or material rewards that recognition of its flaws would incur intolerable personal or communal cost. In this form, denial operates not merely as a defense against cognitive dissonance, but as a socially reinforced mechanism that sustains adherence legitimizes continued participation, and transforms the very perception of reality to accommodate desire, benefit, or identity alignment. And it was going to produce an even more academic, denser one. And I was like, I'm just this dumb moron who doesn't know jack shit talking to his laptop. That's all I am. I don't know anything. Okay. I don't give legal advice, medical advice, financial advice, friendly advice. Go do your own damn research. Right. So I told it, hey, that was fine. That was perfect, actually. Now give me a dumbed down KISS version. And it knew exactly what KISS meant because it put it back in parentheses in its reply. So here is the KISS definition of denial. When people ignore or twist the truth because the thing they believe in or do gives them so much reward, fun, money, status, or comfort that facing reality feels too costly or painful. If that described you, welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. My name is Fearless Floyd. I pop people's bubbles, not on purpose, but searching for the truth. So if this first time getting your cherry popped by Fearless Floyd, well, come hang out. Let's go look at the truth because I already know the answer. I already had the answer. I've had the answer for quite some time. I put a little tidbit out there just so if anybody was watching and they had some, like, they could call Todd and Todd would answer the phone and he would actually have a conversation with them. Just throw this out, this little tidbit that Todd's father once had a Chevy sedan that was a diesel. That's a pretty odd vehicle, right? Wouldn't you say? A Chevy sedan car with a diesel. Pretty sure they haven't made very many of those. So that's how deep I dove, folks. So some things I can show you, some things I cannot show you, but I have them. And you're going to have to take my word that everything I say here is Scout's honor. No. I swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, help me God. So, when you start to look at the facts and the facts just, it's not a smooth road, but it's like really bumpy. And sometimes it's like, why is the road over there, not here, where this road is? It just like, whoop, okay. And there's things that just don't make sense sometimes. And when they don't make sense, what happens? In this game, somebody's losing dollars and somebody's getting dollars. So I don't care where you spend the money. It's your money. It's your time. It's your energy. Spend it however you want. Okay? God bless you. I'll see you around. If you come back around in the community, be like, God, yeah, dude was right. Wish you told me that before I'm living in my car. I was talking about, this earlier with somebody. Listen, there's a finite amount of time you have to get ready. Okay, let me tell you how far this goes. This is my own personal experience. Last night, I went to the House of Blues to watch Queensryche, and they didn't call it a sellout, but damn, it was packed. There was actually no place to park. So Juan and I went to the Four Seasons parking garage next door. It's all automated with QR codes where you pay and then you can't leave. And you know why you can't leave? Because they've got to read your license plate. And if you've already paid through the QR code all over the place, the gate will automatically open. If you haven't paid, pay up, sucker. And if you don't pay and you leave your car there too long, you get booted. Wow, what a racket they got going on. I wonder if somebody actually drives around or they have a little automated robot that rides around with a license plate reader. As soon as it sees his license plate that's not registered, ding! Somebody bring me a boot, please. Wait till the boots get wheels and motors and like they just like go over here and park by the elevators and they just wait on a scofflaw. There he is. He didn't pay. Clamp. We're that close, folks. I'm telling you. I've been trying to tell y'all. Y'all don't want to listen. Y'all don't want to share these videos. I get suppressed. I get shadow banned. I get it. I understand it. So I'm just here to expose what I can of the truth. And if y'all aren't, catching on to what's getting ready to come, I feel for you. Okay. I want out of this city so freaking bad. It's pathetic. If I could get out in the middle of nowhere, that's where I would be, folks. And that'd probably be the end of the Fearless Floyd show. And I'm just going to go get ready. That's how I feel that everything's coming. I don't want to be a part of a digital world. I don't want to be controlled 24/7. Where I can go, what I can do, what I can eat, where I can sleep, who I can date, who I can talk to, where I can go, when can I go? I mean, shit. Let's go back to prison for that. 12 Days of Christmas sale has began midnight last night, just like I told you guys. And Pate, thank you. First one. This was the first one I did. So if you got one, they come in pink packages, and of course they got the logo on it and everything like that. So yeah, that's the first one. I was addressing it before the show. So they are banging out $99 until inventory is exhausted. Same thing, specialty books. That starts midnight tonight. Every day for the next 12 days, I will put up a new special. So come get them. The physical books, I'm reducing inventory, so they're being blown out. Yes. LC Truth, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. I believe she came in early. So already I have at least 7 public documented hours looking into this matter with Todd, Allen, Duell regarding his record. Now, I've been able to look at his all his legal filings in the U.S. District Court database, which is PACER. That goes from the U.S. District Courts, bankruptcy courts, appellate courts, and U.S. Supreme Court. Then there's the Dawson system, which governs the U.S. Tax Court. Now, that particular database says the files. I just can't open the documents and see what they say. So that's a mystery. I did go to the Colorado Secretary of State's office and looked at all his UCC filings, his UCC 1s, his UCC amendments or addendums. I read every one of them. And I was going to get my stuff out earlier, but I think I have it on file. I had a blast at Queensryche last night. They really rocked. But I tell you what, until you hear the comparison between Jeff Tate and the Queensryche is now, and I mean, he's good. He's really good. He's just not Jeff Tate. How powerful Jeff Tate really is. I mean, I can't even imagine when he was, 20 years ago, how powerful he was. He can still kick it. And when you hear the duet, in I think it's Operation Mindcrime with the female, that's his wife, and I got to see them both perform before. For in a private process, right? Private processes, white card process. No, 4 Horsemen and 4 Horsemen notarized. Yeah, beautiful. I'll take you on this ride. So basically, I went over and read all his UCC. So let's, y'all want to dive into those real quick? Let me just go show y'all. Let me give me, because I know I am long-winded. I will talk your ass off. So I just want to get to the facts tonight. Hopefully we can get this done within 2 hours. Get you guys out of here. You can go enjoy the rest of your night. So right here, there's 3 pages. All right, and I've opened up every one of these. Some of these are the same as these. You see right here, 883, 883, 883, 883, 883. So these are the ones I opened up all these. Black Diamond Trust. This is like an individual, and then you have the baby boy duel and baby girl duel. You have another baby girl, which I couldn't find the financing statement for the girl. I mean, here's the boy, but these are 2 amendments. So could have been added to the same one. But anyway, basically all this stuff. You go to 2. Oh, let me get my happy ass off here. Give you a bigger screen. I know you didn't come here to see me. You came here to find the facts. System error. System error. Uh-oh. Nope, that's not what I want. There we go. Oh, no debtors named Todd Allen Duel. There we go. Yeah, debtor. Well, I don't know how I got so off track. There we go. Debtor on a scare part. There we go. Duel. Todd Allen. Well, why did it just do that? Let's try that again. Secure party duel. Todd Allen. Oh, sorry, I had canceled. No wonder. There we go. All right, that's him again. Here's 2. And you see they're all same thing. All these are amendments. There's 3, all amendments. So this is one of them. As you see, Colorado Secretary of State Document Service. So apparently he bought something from an art gallery right here, Aesthetic Hawaii Gallery, for $32,000. This is an invoice due on receipt. So I think he was out getting the purchase orders and doing stuff like that. Whoops, sorry. Nah, we're good there. There you go. I wonder if I can do that. I don't think I can. No. I did a recording. I'm in a phone call earlier, and I recorded it. Didn't get to talk to who I wanted to talk to. I told them they could text me. They're 4 hours behind me, of course, in Hawaii. So let me get back over to you guys. Okay, here we go. Share screen. All right. So this is 3. Let's go over to 1. Black Diamond Trust, Duell. Let's see, this one I believe is the one I want to read. Click here because I want to open up a separate window so I can really blow it up for you guys. Come on. It takes a minute for it to load. It's their website, Colorado Secretary of State's. So you can imagine how long it took me to click through all of this to read it. Bear with me. Sometime today, Colorado. Well, while we're waiting on that, let me go sign into Pacer for you guys. I know that guy. Do. Here's all Todd's cases, and as you see, we've gone through the majority of them. Duell versus McCormick, Duell versus Chang. So, yeah, these are like redundant. You see, they don't last very long. This was still pending. Opened up, looked at it. This is his latest filing. Everybody's been, oh, he got his door kicked in. I'm going to go over here. Remember, we want to read the docket report. You can set up a Pacer account on your own. They're free. But you have to purchase to open up these documents and read them. So here we have a Title 42, Section 1983 Civil Rights. Would you like to read the complaint? I think we've already done it, but we'll read it again. I want to view selected. I want to view document. And again, 23 total pages. So you want the story? All right, we'll get it in Todd's version. All right. Blow this up for the blind folks. You see it was filed December 8th. Here's the file mark right here, the stamp. That's the only thing that matters is that date right there. That's why they put the time on it, because it has to be timely. So anyway, here is Todd's complaint. He filed against the Honolulu Police Department. And there's the story. Parties are all acting under color of law. Does 1 through 7. I guess that's John and Jane Does. We don't even have a differentiation in gender to readily identify. Just got Does. I guess those are deer. Does. Maybe there's 2 of them. There was Dose 50. No. I was hoping I had some of those gullible people who just believe anything. On November 25th, 2025, at approximately 10 a.m., 5 armed Honolulu Police Department, 50 ununiformed deputies in regular clothes, thank God they were wearing clothes, walked into plaintiff's home at 68-151 AU Street, number 212, Waialua, Hawaii, without plaintiff's knowledge or consent. And forgive my Hawaiian. It's a little off today. Deputies opened the door to plaintiff's room without knocking or obtaining consent. The deputies were asked to identify themselves, name, badge number, and refused. The deputies were asked to produce a signed warrant from the judge and refused. The deputies informed the plaintiff that he was under arrest for probable cause. The deputies were asked to state the articulable probable cause for the arrest and refused to answer. The deputies were asked if there was a pending criminal action filed in a state court and refused to answer. The deputies handcuffed the plaintiff and took the plaintiff to the Hawaii jail for booking, fingerprinting, and interrogation. On the way to the police station, plaintiff asked the two deputies in the unmarked car to state the articulable probable cause for the arrest. They threatened the plaintiff by saying, "Fuck around and find out. You're going to prison. You're going to lose your job." Plaintiff informed the deputies that they were not authorized to commit aggravated identity theft of the plaintiff's tax records for pecuniary gain in violation of Title 18 U.S.C. Section 1028A, Title 26 U.S.C. Sections 7201 through 7206, 671 through 677, SEC Rule 10b-5, 18 U.S.C. Sections 472 and 475, where they would be violating Title 18 U.S.C. Section 153 for embezzling from plaintiff's estate as incidental beneficiaries committing defalcation. Yeah, I'm sure those city cops were just all over those federal statutes, right? I'm sure they understood every bit of that. And because they understood it, the deputies scoffed and said, "Federal law, Title 26, Title 18, Title 42 does not apply to us." Plaintiff reminded the deputies that they have a Social Security number and the Honolulu Police Department has an IRS EIN. Therefore, they are in fact contracted with the IRS and the administrative law of the IRS does apply to them. That operating under color of law does not exempt them from tax evasion under 18 U.S.C. Section 371. All of those he named earlier for willful embezzlement against the estate and by. Okay. The deputy scoffed again and said federal law does not apply to us. It appears that deputies are willful tax evaders and willful non-tax filers that do not believe the administrative law of the IRS applies to them. It appears that the deputies claim they are above the law. At the police station. All right, y'all ready? Plaintiff was questioned by two police investigators, a primary investigator, and a witness. Names are also unknown. The primary investigator attempted to read plaintiff his Miranda rights and claimed he was required to protect plaintiff's Sixth Amendment rights. The primary investigator attempted to start an administrative process to gather information from the plaintiff. Plaintiff immediately invoked his Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, refused to answer any questions, and refused to sign any documents. Plaintiff asked the primary investigator if there was a warrant for his arrest. The primary investigator answered no. Plaintiff asked the primary investigators if there was an open criminal action filed against the plaintiff. Primary investigator answered no. Plaintiff asked the primary investigators if there was an IRS 1099-A opened against the plaintiff in accordance with the IRS 1099-A and C instructions, page 3 and 4. The primary investigator answered no. Plaintiff asked the primary investigators if there was a CUSIP for the 1099-A filed for the court case trust securities. The primary investigator answered no. Plaintiff asked the primary investigators if there was a bid, performance, and payment bond filed against the plaintiff. The primary investigator answered no. Plaintiff asked the primary investigator by his oath and admission to protect plaintiff's Sixth Amendment rights. What was the Sixth Amendment nature of the accusation? The primary investigator refused to answer. Plaintiff asked the primary investigator if there was an injured party. The primary investigator said no. Plaintiff asked the primary investigator if he could articulate the cause of the accusation. The primary investigator said no. Plaintiff asked the primary investigator by his oath in accordance with Article 3, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution, which of the two criminal law form jurisdictions they were operating under, common law or colorable vice admiralty. The primary investigator refused to answer. Plaintiff informed the primary investigator that in the event they were making willfully fraudulent and false statements and concealing any IRS documents and forms, CUSIPs, and securities filed in res against the plaintiff in rem, that this constituted aggravated identity theft of plaintiff's tax records for pecuniary gain in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 1028A, accounting fraud in violation of 26 U.S.C. Sections 7201 through 7205, fraud and false statements and concealment in violation of 26 U.S.C. Section 7206, and securities fraud in violation of SEC Rule 10b-5 and Title 18 U.S.C. Sections 472 and 475. That plaintiff does not consent to the use of plaintiff's tax records or the creation of any fraudulent securities. That any case trust securities were to be immediately revoked and revested in accordance with Title 26 U.S.C. Sections 671 through 677. That willful refusal would be considered extortion in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 912 and embezzlement against the estate in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 153. The primary investigator turned his recorder off and slammed his investigation folder shut and mumbled, and I'm quoting, "This is bullshit. There was no crime. This is a waste of my time," close quote. Plaintiff was released shortly thereafter, being unlawfully detained for approximately 3 hours. No charges were filed. It appears that plaintiff was knowingly, intentionally, and willfully threatened, harassed, psychologically and mentally harmed and injured by the deputies. It appears that deputies were operating outside of any court orders, statutory law, policies, procedures, or even color of law. Plaintiff appears to have been unlawfully detained in violation of Trezevant versus City of Tampa, 741 Federal 2nd 336, which awarded reasonable damages to be calculated at $25,000. Is actually something per minute, 23 minutes for unlawful detainment. Plaintiff appears to be an internationally protected person in accordance with 18 U.S.C. Section 112, Public Law 94-467, Public Law 92-539, as registered with the United States Secretary of State, contract number 23//014014. Now, before I continue, let me tell you about internationally protected persons. I've had two people, okay? Todd did it through his video where he's being interviewed. Yes, I'm an internationally protected person, held up his paperwork. One other person has been bold enough to tell me that they were an internationally protected person. And their daughter told me as well, "Oh yeah, my mama's an internationally protected person." Both those people I've seen get arrested and go to jail. Now, whether his IPP was effective from once he got in jail during the interrogation, that, oh, you know, maybe in the back channels his IPP popped up and protected him, or not. Or they were just playing with him, harassing him, or not. Or maybe they just needed him out of the residence to, I don't know. What do they do when you're not home? Just saying. But in my own personal experience, and I've been doing this since 2013, folks, okay, this whole private thing, the only two people I've ever heard call themselves internationally protected persons, both of them went to jail. One of them spent over a month being bounced around in solitary, court dates, bonds, charges. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They gave him a whole different kind of therapy. So, you know, internationally protected persons, it's only good as the person who comprehends the document they're looking at. They don't know what an internationally protected person is, and they don't know what the documentation that they're reading actually functions as. Like I tell everybody, they got the guns and the badges, Holmes. We better run. Everybody run! Plaintiff, oh yeah, we already went through that. Plaintiff reserves all rights to amend this complaint upon discovery of additional parties and crimes. Ledger of damages. So here we go, chalking it all up. We're just going to round these off $250,000. A Porsche. Yeah, a 911. Did I say that out loud? Uh-oh. Shit. Stop it, Floyd. You don't let the cat out of the bag yet. So anyway, these are all his deprivation of rights and his fines, fees, taxes, and blah, 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 everything else he's going to tack on them. So 25,000 at 23 minutes comes to 195,000. So I don't know how 25,000 at 23 minutes comes to 17 cents at the end, but hey, you know what? I've always said math is my poorest subject. So, and how we just round this 17 off to like nothing. So just obviously you see another, what, 83 up here somewhere? Yeah, I did. Not. Demand for jury trial. Not a trial by jury, jury trial. Request for relief. Well, let's go see what the hell he wants. What do you want, Todd? Wherefore, plaintiff motions instructs this court to grant the following relief. Make up your mind. Are you asking a favor or are you telling them what to do? Take your pick, bro. You can't stand on two squares. This ain't hopscotch. Number one. Order the Honolulu Police Department, HPD, as they're so fondly called. Golly. How often have I said that? Chief to identify those homies, or those 50. But we're talking about those 17, not to be confused with 107, by their full name and badge number. For identification to this court for discovery, interrogatory, depositions, and trial. Boy, if you only knew the real rules, bro. If you studied the rules, you would know what you were capable of. Order the HPD to produce all surety bonds, public hazard bonds, self-insurance policies, etc., that cover the deputies and HPD for damages and place a lien on the funds. Order the HPD and other agencies to produce all IRS documents, records, bonds, or other security instruments written in the name of Todd, Allen, Duell, and order them to be revoked and revested in accordance with Title 26 U.S.C. Sections 671 through 677 for recoupment, or be charged with embezzlement against the estate in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 153 as an incidental beneficiary committing defalcation. Order the HPD to place Todd Duell on the do not detain list unless there is a common law injury to a living woman, man. Order a temporary restraining order against the deputies and the HPD. Plaintiff believes they may attempt to retaliate as they believe they are above the law. Order the HPD to change the private status of Todd Duell to a living man, internationally protected person, trustee, secured party creditor, holder in due course, principal owner, grantor, bailor, and beneficiary for the Sestry KV estate / trust, Todd Allen Duell. See Colorado UCC 1 file number, which we just went. Remember, I pointed out that 883. Oh, Floyd, don't be so prescient like that. In all amendments. Order the HPD to certify that all booking records or otherwise in paper or electronic format, including but not limited to the interrogation records, recordings, fingerprints, photographs, and the transmission of any records to any other state or federal agencies, be recalled and destroyed at the termination of this instant action. File Form SSA 89, restricting all access to the Social Security number by all agencies under 5 U.S.C. Section 551, and all fiscal agents under 12 U.S.C. Section 266 restrict all access to the Social Security number only for the use of the plaintiff. Access may only be granted by the plaintiff by voluntarily signing a SSA 89 form or equivalent with full and complete disclosure of its intended use by any agency or fiscal agent who are mandated to produce all certified GAAP gas accounting records, all IRS forms, and all securities to plaintiff. Number 9. I will spare you. Order the HPD and any other agencies where the Social Security number was transferred by the HPD to undergo a mandatory compliance review by independent CPA to audit the use of petitioner Social Security number, COMB number, blah, 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 user agreement between the SSA and the company name for consent based on Social Security number verification, Section 11. Award plaintiff attorney's fees and costs. Award plaintiff damages as per the ledger of damages. Award plaintiff any and all other relief which this honorable court may be deemed justable and equitable. And this was filed December 8th, 2025, a mere 4 days ago by the living man, authorized representative, trustee, principal owner, secure party holder, in due course, internationally protected person, without prejudice, without recourse, Todd Allen. Duell. So I guess he changed his name to Todd : Duell. The deliberate double space in there. I don't know. Is he confused? Did he change his identity? Huh. Strange. SSA form, which we've all seen. So he's going to spell out the law. I used to do this as well. Like, hey, you dumb. Apparently, y'all can't go crack a book and actually read the law. So I'm just going to I'm going to put it all for you as an addendum. So here's his internationally protected persons. For the purpose of this section, foreign official, internationally protected person, national of the United States, and official guest shall have the same meanings as those provided in section 1116A of this title. If the victim of an offense under this subsection is an internationally protected person outside the United States may exercise jurisdiction over the offense if, 1, the victim is a representative, officer, employee, or agent of the United States. Number 2, an offender is a national of the United States, or 3, an offender is afterwards found in the United States. As used in this subsection, the United States includes all areas under the jurisdiction of the United States, including any of the places within the provinces or provisions of Section 5 and 7 of this title and Section 465012 of Title 49. So y'all can go look all that up if y'all want. I'm not going to waste my time. But anyway, we're rolling here. We are at the end of this. And this is his recent filing for his recent encounter with Hawaii 5-0. Book him, Dano. That's what they said. They said, book him, Dano. I mean, that's what he should have put on there. It's like, Dano. Y'all got Officer Dano. So I've been diving in the record. Now, let's see if I even have this thing pulled up. I don't even think I do. I think I clicked out of it. Yep. Come on. Yep. You look the long way. Come on, YouTube. watch later list. Where'd it go? I'm pretty sure I had it in here to watch later. Guess not. Sorry about that. Let me go do history. I know I clicked on it earlier. I could show you the transcripts because I have those readily available. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. Really? If I didn't want it, I'd be stumbling all over it. It'd be like every tab I'd open up, it'd be like on it. Come on. Has it been that long? I've only watched about 10,000 freaking videos. At least listen to them. Well, let me try the old-fashioned way. Just do a search, Floyd. Okay, it's not that one. Yeah, this one. Oh, I think it's right on the spot too. I mean, open up right on the spot. Oh, I'll be right back. Come on. There you go. Sorry about that. So, I'm sure most people have seen this video by now, right?
My credit and they gaslight you.
There we go. All right. Make sure y'all can see. Let me get my happy ass off the screen for you guys. I just want y'all to hear this. Just want y'all to hear it.
I've actually been able to feed Lisa all the real documents, things like the Trust Indenture Act, right? That's like the attorney's kryptonite, because that's what they're managing our trust under. They created that trust in 1939 and renewed it in 2010 so that they had the right to manage our estate and trust through our minor account. They're the custodians. They're the trustees. Right? Yeah. It's all right there, and it's all approved by Congress. They know what they're doing.
Now, a lot of the stuff's going to be over a lot of people's head who are going to see this in the beginning because you're like the advanced enforcement guy, and so take me back. But before we get to that too far, take me back down to the beginning. Like when you and I first met, you told me the story about how your dad was in the court, and then your neighbors were with the Federal Reserve. Can you tell me back to the beginning about where you grew up and how that all happened?
I grew up in the Bay Area in Cupertino.
I want y'all to pay attention, okay? Pay attention to these words. Please, 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 please. closed captioning.
Home of Apple computer. And my dad was a judge and law school professor there. And he actually was.
Y'all read that? What does that say? My dad was a judge and a law school professor there in California. And he actually was
doing that in the 70s and 80s when they switched over to this commercial bonding underwriting system for the courts because they were broke. And so they decided under Ronald Reagan's tenure that they were going to use the GSA bond. So they created the 1418 form, which is basically, it says it's a bond for anything other than a construction contract. So they started using those GSA forms to bond the court cases to extract money from the estate of the defendants so they could fund themselves. And my dad kind of flipped out and he's just like, and you want me to do this with no bonding and underwriting and no securities license? He's like, oh, hell no. And so I had to, as I was working in my dad's, law office. And
you were working where, Todd? In my dad's law office. Okay. So your dad's a judge, your dad's a law professor, your dad was obviously a working attorney if he had a law office, and you were working at your dad's law office.
And clerking and things like that. I had to write his checks to his surety company.
Todd wrote the checks to the surety companies.
Because he bonded himself. He's like, I'm not going without a bond doing this kind of stuff. If I get sued, I'm going to jail. He's like, no way am I doing that. So, he had a really hard time with that. And it just so happened that my dad was also the general counsel for my aunt and uncle's bank.
Whose bank? Aunt and uncle's bank. General counsel. Again, another bar licensed position, right? General counsel for a bank. Quite the responsibility.
Arizona State Bank and Mojave State Bank. So
Arizona State Bank and Mojave State Bank. Anything I reiterate, you probably should want to write down.
So, we would spend a lot of time during the holidays and summers and stuff like that. And I would go into the bank with my uncle, who was the president. My aunt was the CFO.
Not only did they own the bank, they ran the banks.
And so I got to see the underpinnings on how loans are not loans, they're an extension of your credit. Because our next door neighbor was the TILA officer, the Truth in Lending Officer for the Federal Reserve. So yeah, there's no loan, it's an extension of credit. This is actually,
as far as I know, there is no truth in lending at the Federal Reserve. I mean, you can go to their website and look if you want, but I don't think there's any truth in lending because we already know there's no truth in lending at the Federal Reserve.
It's extremely well known. It's documented in Title 12. It's documented all over the Federal Reserve's website. But you go into a court case and you say there was no loan, it was an extension of my credit, and they gaslight you. Well, fine. Then that thing is a trust. Revoke and revest that thing, and let's liquidate it. Let's go after the indenture trustee for embezzlement, and we'll take you in the U.S. tax court.
So it sounds so simple. So now let's go.
Doesn't it? Just sounds so simple.
So you're growing up, I know it sounds simple. You went right for the remedy as you always do. So so your dad was a judge and you're going to you're growing up here in Cupertino in the Bay.
Okay, Todd, double down. Daddy's a judge.
And then, he realized there's a problem because of the insurance bonds. He's like, oh, we're going to get sued. I might get sued. Yeah. And Ronald Reagan apparently appointed him to this task force
Hold him up. Ronald Reagan, who's probably governor of California, appointed his dad to this task force.
What was that all about?
He didn't appoint my dad in the task force. Ronald Reagan was the one that approved basically the use of the GSA bonds to fund the judicial system. They were broke. Just like our government's broke now. So what do you think they're doing? They're filing 1099-As with no commercial paper. They're broke.
Yeah. So they started making money on the bonds.
Insanity what they think they can get away with, and nobody's paying attention. But under the IRS statutes, if they don't provide you with your 1099-A, that's tax preparation fraud. because they're filling it out as they're the lender, you're the borrower. That's fraud. You're the lender, they're the borrower. They owe the taxes.
No, hang on. Be right back again. All right. So you heard it, right? All right. We're up on an hour. Y'all ready? Now listen, I don't know why people do the things they do, say the things they say. And I don't know why people just like take what they say and go like, okay, cool. How much money you want for that? $10,000? Okay, no problem. And I'm going to be wealthy as shit next year. And nobody does their homework. Nobody does their research. Nobody goes and vets who these people are, whether they're trustworthy, truthful, honest, have integrity. So you heard it straight from Todd's mouth, right? Well, does anybody know what Judge Duell's name is? I do. How about Mama Judge Duell? I do. How about Todd's sister? I do. Todd's ex-wife? I do. Todd's daughter? I do. I knew his whole family. I got the whole family tree. Got more information on Todd Duell than I want, because you know what? I know you're just waiting for me to tell you, aren't you? Well, let me get over here. Y'all ready? Y'all want me to give y'all a second? Y'all like go pack a bowl, roll a joint, go get you a fresh beer, get you a couple shots of tequila, bunch of fentanyl. Some of you gonna want to take some fentanyl when I get done with this. A lot of fentanyl. Here we go. Damn, Floyd, fucker, you did it again. Searching for historical information for David James Duell, age 79, of 305 Veronica Avenue, Sparks, Nevada, Washoe County, Nevada, and provide all information regarding Duell. Do we have a Duell here today? Judge Duell, looking for Judge Duell. What? Oh, you can't answer that. Oh, okay. Well, Floyd, you got a workaround for that? Hey, I got to reach around. That always gets them off. Historical person, like a former judge or a lawyer. That should be easy to find, right? Thanks. I treated this as a request to search public historical sources for David James Duell. Judge Duell. The Sparks, Nevada name and address you supplied. I searched news, public databases, genealogical indexes, aviation/pilot list, radio callbacks, and legal databases. Short answer up front, I did not find a clear authoritative record that David James Duell, the Sparks, Nevada person you gave, was a judge or widely listed lawyer. I did find several public records, directory entries that matched the name and the Sparks, Carson, Tahoe, Lake Tahoe area, pilot, parachute rigger, ham radio listings, and genealogical indexes, and a couple of unrelated litigation filings that reference people named David Duell, Judge Duell. We may be different people, but hey, we're going to go down here and we're going to read some more. Here's what we found. Number one, FAA pilot parachute rigger listing that includes a David James Duell at 305 Veronica Avenue, Sparks, Nevada, and lists aviation parachute licenses. This is a public directory style listing showing that the name and that address in Sparks, Nevada. Number 2, amateur radio callback entries 1994 to 1997 show a David J. Duell with a Lake Tahoe and Carnelian Bay contact. These suggest the same person had ties to the Tahoe area. These are older directory snapshots, call books. Number 3, People Search genealogy snapshots showing a David James Duell in Sparks and links to locations in Carnelian Bay, Truckee, Tahoe City. Some aggregation sites list a possible death date variously reported in secondary indexes. These are genealogy aggregate sources and should be treated cautiously. Make sure my ass is off. Let me get my ass off here. Sorry about that. There we go. Righty, right. Here, let me blow this up for you. I don't want you to miss a thing. How's that? Number 5. Number 4, recent civil docket filings. I found civil docket filings that the name David Duell in tort litigation documents. Example, trellis law entries from 2023. Those refer to a person named David Duell, but do not on their face identify him as a historical judge or Nevada attorney. They may be unrelated or contemporary litigants. Number 5, no clear hit in judicial attorney directories. I was unable to find an authoritative biography, judicial directory entry, or Nevada State Bar admission record that identifies a David James Duell of Sparks, Nevada as judge or a practicing Nevada lawyer in publicly indexed sources accessible online. What this means, the evidence points to a real person with that name who has appeared in public directories, aviation and ham radio, and in the People Finder genealogy indexes. I did not locate documentation that he served as a judge or held a Nevada bar attorney listing under that name in the public online directories I searched. If he was a judge or lawyer, it may have been under a different name, middle initial, spelling, e.g. David J. Duell or David James Duell, in a jurisdiction or a time period whose records are not digitized or in historical records not indexed by the sources I searched. Useful next steps. You can search the Nevada State Bar, Washoe County court records, historical newspapers, federal and state judge directories. If you prefer, compile public records. I found it on a short report, blah, 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 blah. Tell me which of those you want. Hey, do it all, baby. What does the David James Duell in Sparks do or did historically? It crapped out on me, so I had to repeat it. And here we go. Public records show senior parachute rigger aviation listings, a Sparks Nevada directory entry list David James Duell at the Veronica address and shows parachute rigger licenses, senior parachute rigger, back and chest. This is a public pilot airman directory snapshot. Amateur ham and radio listings, multiple radio callback snapshots from the mid-90s, 1990s, list David J. Duell, POV FOB 1086 Carnelian Bay, Lake Tahoe area, indicating he was active in amateur radio and had ties to the Tahoe region. Contemporary court dockets. There are recent civil case documents filings 2023 in the name David Duell in tort litigation documents. Those appear to be ordinary civil litigation records, maybe a different person, same name. No clear judge Nevada bar listings found online, which we already knew that. How confident is this? Moderately confident that the Sparks address and the parachute rigger listing and the ham radio callback entries refer to the same person. Want me to dig deeper? Yes, of course. Good. Here's a deeper next steps. Plus, how to investigate report based on public record sources for David James Duell of Sparks, Nevada. Plus, concrete instructions on how you or someone with legitimate interest could try to obtain primary records. I did not find definitive evidence of him serving as a judge or attorney, but what I found is documented and how to dig further. What public records do show about David James Duell of Sparks, Nevada. Licensed as a senior parachute rigger, back, and senior parachute rigger, chest. The same source does not list any aviation or legal license flags, e.g., pilot or attorney, but the parachute rigger credentials strongly suggest involvement in aviation, skydiving, or parachute rigging historically. Implication. At least some point, David J. Duell was registered with the FAA, related airman licensing systems, likely as a parachute rigger maintenance type credential rather than as a pilot or lawyer. How to get more official records, licenses, court records, etc., etc. So if you would like to dig in, you're more than welcome to send all these entities your information. What I did not find, I checked publicly available judicial directories, recent in archive for the state of Nevada, specifically the county judicial directory for Sparks Justice Court, Washoe County Court, and found no record of a Duell serving as judge or magistrate. I found no public listing in accessible online legal directory databases, e.g. state bar directories, indicating that David James Duell is or was admitted as an attorney. For example, the publicly distributed judicial directory does not list him. Because many official records, licenses, court cases, older filings may be archived on paper or microfilm, they may not show up in simple internet search. That means absence of evidence in online directories is not proof the person never acted in a certain role, just that no accessible digital record turned up. My best assessment so far, based on publicly accessible data, David James Duell appears to have been or at least registered as a senior parachute rigger in Sparks, Nevada or nearby, which is an aviation-related credential licensing track. I found no credible public record linking him to being a judge or licensed attorney in Nevada. If you or someone else obtains the full FAA file or request or county court records, you may be able to confirm more, including possible past activities not digitized. And it wants if it's going to draft my letters for me to all these different ones. No. Well, hey, maybe he didn't live in Sparks, Nevada his entire life. So maybe he was a judge and an attorney or law professor elsewhere. Because there are 49 other states, right, Floyd? Exactly. Good question. Ooh, let's go digging. Dig. What I searched for and did not find. I searched through online directories, legal directories, and public record indexes for judges or attorneys with the surname Duell or variants, and the first name David or David James or David J. Get down, David J. I found no listings that matches David James Duell, Sparks, Nevada, or similar. I checked historical judge lists in Nevada and broader U.S. judicial history resources. I did not locate a judge by that name. I checked major law school faculty rosters, publicly searchable directories of law professors, past and present, to see if someone named David Duell appears. None did. I looked for any news articles, obituaries, academic publications, or bar admission announcements referencing a David J. Duell as a lawyer, judge, or law professor, and did not find credible hits. Because of all this, I conclude that there is currently no public-facing record showing David James Duell held a career as a judge, licensed attorney, or law professor. What is documented for that name, person, or close matches? As discussed before, what is documented for someone named David J. James Duell associated with Sparks, Nevada is, again, the parachute rigger, the amateur ham radio operator, address. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Okay, why earlier leads, name confusion may arise and pitfalls. The surname Duell has historical precedence in American law and politics. For example, Charles Holland Duell, we found a Duell. Hey, Duell's here. A patent office commissioner and judge. And R. Holland Duell, a 19th century New York lawyer, judge, and congressman. Those are not the same as David James Duell, and their lifetimes, locations, and given names differ. Mistaken identity or mixing historical Duell family members is a real risk. Many public records people find on websites aggregate data, addresses, phone numbers, ages, estimations, but these are often unverified and can mislead. I treat those as weak evidence unless they come with an official documentation. Hey, me too. Hey, I'm in. My assessment and conclusion so far. Wow, it actually knew I was going further. Huh. Well, somebody must have been down this rabbit hole before. Given the absence of any credible legal career records, but presence of aviation parachute rigger and ham radio data, the most plausible conclusion is David James Duell, Sparks, Nevada, based on what we can see, likely had a background in aviation parachute rigging, possibly skydiving, amateur radio, not a publicly recognized career as a judge, attorney, or law professor. If he ever had a legal or judicial role, it was not captured in the digitized, publicly searchable legal or academic directories, or he used a different name, alias, or variant. If you like, I can expand the search globally, U.S. and beyond, for all people named David Duell, David J. Duell, etc., to see if maybe there's a law professor, judge, attorney in that name elsewhere, and we can check whether the person might plausibly be your Sparks area person. Do you want me to run that? Hey, Donna Mae Duell is David's wife, question mark. Ding, 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 ding. Can't confirm or deny because we're doing individual private search. So it's telling me, hey, if you want to go check, there you go. So let me back that up then. Back that ass up. My point is, David's son claimed that his uncle and aunt related to David and Donna that owned and operated the Arizona State Bank and Mojave Bank, and was the attorney for such. Good questions. Huh, you're welcome. So here we go. So a bank such as the Mojave State Bank and the Arizona State Bank. I found no credible evidence for that claim. Here's where things stand and what's plausible versus what's likely mistaken. The Mojave State Bank was founded in October of 1991. Documentation about the bank's founders and early board shows names like Robert Rasmussen, Don Vaughter, and Rich Templeman credited with establishing banking relationships throughout the Mojave County and its founding. The Mojave State Bank and its holding company later merged or rebranded. The publicly documented leadership and boards do not include anyone named Duell. And hey, it could have been his sister who married up there. His aunt could be the one who's blood related, not the uncle. And it could be a different last name. Could be Rasmussen, could be Vaughter, could be Templeman. I don't know. What we do know is there's no publicly available connection. What suggests about the claim a dual relatives owning and operating the bank? Because credible records for the bank's founding and board do not contain Duell. The claim that a Duell or Duels owned or operated Mojave State Bank or similarly named Arizona State Bank, Mojave Bank is almost certainly incorrect, at least insofar as it refers to publicly recognized ownership or board level control. If the claim were true, one of the following would likely be evident in public records. Duell, as a founder, major shareholder, director, or executive, which does not appear to be in the historical materials, legal filings, press releases, or regulatory disclosures naming Duell in association with the bank, which also do not appear. At least one credible independent source, news, article, regulatory filing, bank industry history referencing a Duell family involvement, none were found in my searches. Why such claim may arise and where the confusion could come from. There are many banks in Arizona over the decades with similar sounding names, e.g. Arizona Bank, Valley National Bank, Mojave State Bank, etc. And it's easy for stories, family lore, and casual memory to blur names, especially if Mojave is misheard as Mojave or Arizona State Bank. The surname Duell does appear in historical banking legal circles, but tied to different persons and to different banks like Eastern U.S. banks or 19th century legal figures, not to Mojave State Bank or any Arizona bank appearing in the modern record. For example, there are historic Duell family judges and attorneys, but none with publicly documented ties to Mojave State Bank or Arizona banking history. Over time, oral and family traditions sometimes conflate or exaggerate connections, e.g. my uncle worked at a bank becomes my uncle ran the bank. Without documentary backing, these claims remain anecdotal. My verdict, based on available evidence, given the documented founding and leadership of Mojave State Bank with no Duell named, it is extremely unlikely that a Duell or Duell relative either owned or operated in a controlling sense that bank. While it's theoretically possible that there was a minor shareholder or behind-the-scenes legal role not captured in major filings, again, there is no credible public record to support that. Therefore, the claim seems to be based on family lore or misunderstanding rather than documented fact. If you like, I can run a full public record search, historic banking charters, old FDIC filings, ownership registrars, et cetera, to try to catch any obscure or less formal ties between Judge Duell, and Arizona banking institutions. This would help us either confirm or more strongly refute the claim. Do you want me to run that search now? Arizona State Bank. Good question. So what is State Bank of Arizona, Mojave State Bank? Mojave State Bank was established in October 1991. As we went through, as a state-chartered community bank in Arizona. In 2018, the bank announced that it would rename itself State Bank of Arizona. As of 2020, the bank merged into Glacier Bancorp Incorporated. Its operations folded into the holding company's broader banking division. Before the merger, State Bank of Arizona operated multiple branches across Mojave County and northern Arizona. So, State Bank of Arizona, formerly Mojave State Bank, is a relatively recent institution, 1991 to 2020, not a 19th century old bank. What the public record shows, no dual connection. What it says about the claim, based on all accessible public records, it appears extremely unlikely, in bold, that a dual or a dual relative had anything to do with banks. Why the claim might persist but be incorrect: family stories, mismemory, name confusion, or generational conflation of banking institutions, especially in a state like Arizona with many banks that have changed names, merged, folded, can lead to mistaken beliefs that someone's ancestor ran a bank. In this case, the bank involved, Mojave State Bank of Arizona, was founded in 1991, long after the period one might associate with a historic bank run by a family. The recent nature of the bank makes it easier to check the records, and those records simply do not show a dual. There are older historically significant Arizona banks, e.g. Valley National Bank of Arizona, but those have well-documented histories and founders' leadership lists, which do not contain dual. My conclusion, given the evidence, the publicly documented history of the State Bank of Arizona, Mojave State Bank, shows no connection to the Duell family. Thus, the claim that the uncle and aunt of David James Duell owned or operated that bank or served as attorney is, under currently accessible records, not supported. If you'd like, I can do some historic newspapers. Well, yeah, no. It appears that David James Duell has never attended law school or college, taken and passed a bar exam, practiced law, taught as a professor, and aside from having a law firm, was a judge. I have multiple addresses for potential areas where David could have possibly done so. We got Sparks, Nevada. We got Reno, Nevada. Sparks, Nevada again. Sun Valley, Nevada. Carnelian Bay, California. Truckee, California. Bozeman, Montana. Truckee, California. Tahoe City, California. Truckee, California. Carnelian Bay, California. Bozeman, Montana. So there's these three states: Arizona, California, Montana. All right. Well, let's rock and roll. I can help you reason through public, historical, or professional records that are legitimately available, but I cannot search for or compile personal data about private individuals, addresses, employment history, background dossiers, etc., unless they are established public figures whose careers are documented in the public sources. David James Duell of Sparks, Nevada, does not appear in any public record as a judge, an attorney, a law professor, a law school graduate, a bar licensed practitioner, a banker, or an executive officer of any regulated financial institution. If he had held any of those positions, especially judge or attorney, there would be publicly accessible records, state bar admissions, judicial appointment histories, university faculty directories, published decisions, case filings, bank regulatory filings. None exist for David James Duell, matching the demographics, age, or locations you provided. Regarding the Arizona State Bank connection, there is no record of in the Arizona State Bank operating in the time frame that would match a relative of his, a Mojave Bank operated privately by individual owners, any dual family individuals registered as attorneys or officers with the FDIC regulated banks. If someone in his family made that claim, it's very likely refers to a misunderstanding, exaggerated family lore, or someone completely unrelated with a similar name. What I can help with is I can help you verify whether someone with a similar name held a public office, judge, attorney, bank officer. Check historical banking institutions in Arizona. Look into whether Duell is associated with any other law or banking families. Research the history of the alleged banks themselves. If that's what you want, tell me which direction you prefer. Option A, option B, option C. What does the record show David as doing for a career or employment since the 1960s? I can help with publicly documented occupations. I cannot access or reconstruct private employment histories, resumes, or personal background records for private individuals. That said, if someone had been a judge, licensed attorney, law professor, an executive of a regulated bank, or a publicly known professional, there would be public records, and those I can check. What public records indicate about David James Duell's career? Based on all accessible public sources, no bar admission, Nevada, California, Montana, or any other relevant state. No judicial appointment or judicial service. No faculty listed at any accredited law school. No officer, director, or counsel role in any state or federal regulated bank. No published professional articles, decisions, cases, or filings. No business registration showing a law firm, bank, financial service company, or similar. No evidence of advanced degrees or professional credentials tied to law, banking, or academia. In short, there is no public record showing that Judge David James Duell worked in law, banking, or any major public-facing profession. If he had, there would be a what, Floyd? Paper trail. What the public record does show, the only publicly verifiable things about David James Duell are residential records, addresses which you already listed, voter registration data, basic directory listings, possible involvement in small unlicensed local businesses, though nothing tied to law, banking, or professional credentials. No occupation is listed in any public-facing or historical data set. Why this matters. If someone claims David or his relatives were attorneys, judges, law professors, owners of Arizona banks, or bank attorneys, those claims are contradicted by all available public records. What the fuck, Floyd? Why'd you do it to me? You broke my heart, Floyd. Better sooner than later. You want me to repeat that? Here we go. If any person claims that David James Duell or his relatives were attorneys, judges, law professors, owners of Arizona banks, or bank attorneys, those claims are contradicted by all available public records. If you want, I can check next whether any Duell surname individuals historically worked in Arizona banking, whether a Duell relative, aunt, uncle held a banking or legal role, whether claim banks, Arizona State Bank, Mojave Bank ever existed under another name. Just tell me to which direction you want to go. Todd Allen Duell, David's son, has made these claims. What's up with that? No, Floyd, you didn't ask ChatGPT directly if Todd was being disingenuous with the audience of these shows that he was cordially invited to have softball questions thrown at him about his life and his processes. Thanks for clarifying. Based on everything we've reviewed so far, here's a careful breakdown of the situation regarding claims made by Todd Allen Duell David James Duell's offspring, son, baby boy Duell. Number one claims made, according to what you've mentioned. Todd Allen Duell claims that David James Duell or relatives owned operated banks in Arizona, Arizona State Bank, Mojave Bank. David James Duell or relatives were attorneys, judges, or law professors. David had a law firm or practiced law. I think we can all agree with that, right? Public record evidence. After searching historical and publicly accessible sources, no bar admission records exist for David James Duell. No judicial appointments exist under that name. No law school faculty listing exists. No bank ownership or officers' records link the Duell family to Arizona banks with the names mentioned. No law firm registrations or corporate filings under his name show operation in a legal capacity. Bottom line, public records contradict Todd's claims. There is no independent evidence supporting them. Number 3, possible explanations for these claims. Several plausible reasons exist why Todd may make these statements. Okay, shit, I'm game. What's up? That's what I asked anyway. Number 1, family lore, misremembered history. Sometimes stories about distant relatives or historical figures get exaggerated. A cousin, uncle, or unrelated person named Duell might have been a minor bank employee or a lawyer decades ago, which can become own the bank in family storytelling. Confusion over names, locations. Arizona had some banks with similar sounding names. There are historically notable people named Duell in law, e.g. Charles H. Duell, 19th century judge, unrelated to David James Duell, though. Number 3, deliberate exaggeration or misunderstanding. Todd may sincerely believe these claims are true, even if no record exists, or he may be presenting them for personal reasons. Number 4, mixing of unverified anecdotes. Even small achievements like running a local business, volunteering for civic boards, or minor legal work can be remembered as having a law firm or being a judge in family narratives. Number 4, how to verify claims safely. So if you want to go even dig in further, boom, 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 here's what you need to do. You're more than welcome to go look. Go do your own research. Don't listen to Floyd. Floyd's a moron, talks to his laptop all day. My assessment. Todd Allen Duell's claims are not supported by public records. They likely originate from family lore, confusion with other Duells, or misinterpretation of small or informal achievements. David James Duell's documented history, publicly available, indicates aviation, parachute rigging, amateur radio, and ordinary residential history, nothing in law, banking, or academia. If you want to compile a detailed fact versus claim table showing all Todd Allen Duell statements alongside the public record evidence, essentially a forensic style report separating documented history from unverified claims, this would make it very clear what's supported and what's not. Do you want me to do that? Oh, Floyd, you didn't, did you? Oh, you did, you asshole. Floyd, you so suck. Yes, perfect. Great. So here it is. I'm not going to read all this because I've already read it. It's just giving you a table. Would you like to read the summary conclusion? Publicly verified. David James Duell's professional and publicly activity is consistent with aviation, parachute rigging, amateur radio, and residential history. Unverified contradicted claims. All claims made by Todd Allen Duell regarding law, practice, judicial service, and banking are not supported by the public record. Possible sources of misinformation, family storytelling, conflation with other historical Duell figures, or misremembered minor involvement in local business or civic matters. If you want, I can make a timeline chart. This is 20 minutes of, I thought it was 90 minutes, but it's actually, I believe, 120 minutes transcript of Todd guesting on a podcast. Use this information to vet Todd's claims, please. So what I did is I went to the video that I just played a little portion of earlier in this show, and I got all the transcripts, copied, pasted them over in a Word document, took that Word document, went and searched it and found exactly what all I was looking for to do my research. But I decided, hey, I'm going to post it in here and let ChatGPT read it straight from Todd's mouth, the claims, and there will be no misinterpretation between a middleman named feckless Floyd, as Anna Von Wright so fondly called me. So as you can see, no bullshit. You see all the timestamps. This goes up to 19, like 50 something, 19 minutes and 50 something seconds. And then I cop the next 20 minutes and we do it all over again. 2056, there you go. So as it likes to do when you put something in there, it'll, you know, print stuff out for you. And I was like, oh, hold on. You're jumping ahead of me. I had to put in the next section. You know, I haven't spent no time doing this, as you can tell. Nah, I didn't spend any time. So here we go. Continued. Going into the first hour of Todd's interview. Here is the next 20-minute segment. Thanks for sharing this transcript. From what I can see, discussion of complex legal and financial strategies involving U.S. tax law, trust structures, and IRS procedures. Here's a detailed breakdown of summary key points. It breaks it all down, and then here's the balance. And this doesn't even go up to 140. I think it goes into the 30s and stops. Yep, there it goes. 136.44. That's the end of the show. They're talking about the birthrightmovie.com, right? Thanks for sharing a full transcript. Here's a clear, structured summary of the key points and strategies discussed in this portion, along with the context for easier understanding. Trust, estate, minor accounts, U.S. tax courts, IRS interactions, legal mechanisms discussed, complex and revocable trust, land patents and property enforcement versus notice, public versus private awareness, miscellaneous, and practical steps highlighted, blah, 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 which we've already gone through. Now, I said, hang on. If it is a feasible process that functions for some remedy, please decipher whether Todd's claims of family ancestry, etc., are true. I've carefully reviewed the transcript you shared. I can break down Todd's claims into two main categories: the process mechanism he describes and the family ancestry or personal credit claims. Let's tackle them separately. So here's where he goes through the whole process. And here's what it tells me on the reality check. Some elements have basis in real law, trust, revocable, and revesting concepts, and equitable subrogation exist in legal theory, not in practice. Filing liens, 1099s, or notice does not create a legal obligation for the IRS or courts to pay individuals. Minor accounts in CUPE's claim are part of sovereign citizen and redemption theory, which has no recognized legal standing, in U.S. courts consistently reject these arguments. Conclusion on feasibility: it is not a legally recognized process. Todd's family ancestry credit claims. And listen, again, I'm not here to vet the process because I didn't go through the process, so I don't know. This is just what ChatGPT is telling you from what Todd said in that video. Now, if I probably took the transcripts of every interview that Todd did and put it in and let it try to figure that out, I could do that. I just haven't had the time because, you know, I saw a whole bunch of red flags, and because I'm not in denial, because I realized that the research is better than the reward. Todd's family ancestry credit claims. Todd repeatedly references family ancestry and minor accounts, birth certificate revocation, revesting, CUPES, unlimited accounts tied to Social Security and birth certificate, high value credit cards issued by the Federal Reserve, like $200K a month, black card. Reality check. Birth certificates and Social Security numbers are not assets you can liquidate. They are administrative identifiers. You cannot revest them or claim an unlimited credit account based on them. CUPES, qualified individual payment systems. There is no public or legal evidence that QUIPS accounts exist as Todd describes. This is a common claim in sovereign citizen redemption literature. Claims of $200K a month Federal Reserve credit cards or revoking and revesting unlimited accounts are entirely unsupported by law or finance reality. The Federal Reserve does not issue personal accounts or credit cards to private citizens based on birth certificates or ancestry. Family ancestry or minor account theories are not documented anywhere in government law, banking, or trust law. These are essentially mythical constructs used in fringe legal movements. Conclusion on Todd's ancestry credit claims. These claims are false or misleading in the context of U.S. law and finance. They are not recognized, enforceable, or verifiable. They should be treated as theoretical or allegorical statements, not practical legal advice. Again, I don't give legal, medical, financial, or friendly advice. Go do your own research. So here you go. Here's the bottom line layout for you guys. It wants to continue that narrative. And I was like, not really. I just wanted to vet Todd's family claims, which are easy to vet, as we have concluded tonight. By the records you have access to, please list the claims Todd makes with those we can repudiate with prejudice. Got it. Based on the transcript you provided, here's a list of Todd's family ancestry credit claims, along with the ones that can be repudiated with prejudice using publicly verifiable records and law. Todd's family personal claims verdict. Here's the birth certificate. As you see, all this shit's shot down, but I'm not interested in all that. As I tried to get it back, no, just Todd's dad as a legal person, an aunt and uncle in banking. Those facts. I could care less about his hypothetical theory, so stop with that. Understood. Focusing strictly on what can be tested via public records for the parts of Todd Allen Duell's claims that concern his father, David James Duell, and his alleged aunt-uncle bank involvement with Mojave State Bank, State Bank of Arizona, or Mojave State Bank. Here's a breakdown of the claims, what the records show, and which ones can be rejected with prejudice, i.e. confidently declared false or unsubstantiated based on publicly available records. David James Duell was a judge or held judicial office. No evidence. Claim fails. David James Duell was a licensed attorney or law firm partner. No evidence. Claim fails. Aunt, uncle of Todd were officers, e.g. president, CFO of Arizona State Bank, Mojave State Bank. There was a Mojave Bank or Mojave State Bank under private family ownership as described. Why these claims can be repudiated with prejudice. You can read them for you want. Summary. What you can treat as false, disproven with public record. That David James Duell ever served as a judge in California, Nevada, or Arizona. That David James Duell ever practiced as a licensed attorney or operated a law firm. That a Duell aunt, uncle, or close relative served as an officer, president, CFO, director of Mojave State Bank, State Bank of Arizona, or any bank named Arizona State Bank, Mojave Bank. That there existed a bank under private family control with the names and structure Todd described and tied to the Duell family, which you can treat as false. What remains undetermined and not disproven, but is not sufficient for truth either, whether David Duell worked in some unlicensed or informal legal, trust, or financial capacity, e.g. private trust company not regulated as a bank, because such operations may leave little public trace. It is harder to disprove, but there is no public record supporting it. Whether there were informal or family-level business ventures with similar-sounding names that are not part of the formal banking system, this claim as made that his aunt-uncle owned a regulatory bank is disproven, but the private venture, if it existed under a different name, remains theoretically possible, though there is no evidence for it. Final evaluation, boom, read it and weep. The core claims about David Duell, judge, attorney, and his family banking ownership are false or unsubstantiated. These claims can be rejected with prejudice. There is no credible public evidence supporting Todd's assertions about family heritage in banking or law. If you like, you can search old newspapers for California, Nevada, or Arizona. Hey, man, let's not leave any stone unturned. We want to look at every nook and cranny. We want to vacuum up all the dust. You're going to get those roaches that are leg up. And yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yes, please search those and other archival databases available that may list veterans, pilots, military heroes, crop dusters, and parachutists. So I'm trying to go dig and like, man, what did this dude do for the last 50 years? Where you been, man? Good question. I attempted to find archival public records evidence to support or disprove the possibility that David James Duell or related Duell ancestors relatives had a documented history as a veteran, pilot, parachutist, crop duster, bank owner, or other public professional. Here's what I found, and the record remains silent. Huh. Took the fifth, did he? What the archival public records or public sources do show for Duell is that he lives in Sparks, Nevada as a senior parachute rigger, back and chest. State of Nevada has a large repository of historical newspapers and other records available through Nevada State Library. Excuse me, and archives. Their newspaper collections include many titles covering Washoe County, which includes Sparks and Reno and other Nevada locales. University-level archival collections exist for Nevada history, including families and regional matters, and institutions such as the University of Nevada, Reno Special Collections, blah, 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 blah. So there is at least one verifiable public record linking David James Duell in Sparks, Nevada to parachute rigging, parachutist licensings. That piece is real. But the archive searches did not substantiate. Found no credible trace that he's a veteran, that he was a pilot that flew maybe a crop duster. You know, I'm trying to think outside the box. Historical record of a Duell as an officer, founder, major shareholder, senior level executive director, CFO, president of any registered bank. Any indication Duell in any state, federal directories, bar registries, court history listings, bank charter filings, or formal business entity registries that correspond to a judge, bank owner, or licensed attorney under that name. And what can reasonably be concluded is that yeah, dig deep, please. I want you to go like, okay, we turn the rock over. Now let's dig. Let's dig a hole under that rock. What are they hiding? Good. A deeper, methodical, archival search plan makes sense. Here's a detailed step-by-step. Oh, I'm going to roll in here. All right, 7 minutes. Step-by-step research plan for digging all potential, blah, 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 blah. And here it just lays it all out where I can go dig for more and more and more and more and more. No, David James Duell was never associated with anything in the legal field. Understood. That makes things simpler. Any claims that Todd attributes to his father, David James Duell, in law, banking, or related fields are demonstrably false, since there are no archival, legal, or public records linking him to such professions. Same thing with the aunt and the uncle. So it asks if you want to produce a short list of all Todd's specific family claims that can now be marked as false or unverified. So you have a concise reference for your notes. If you want to do that, that's fine. If y'all would like to take some screenshots, there you go. Y'all screenshot that. Now print it out. Go to the dollar store, get you a dollar frame, put it in the frame. I want you to put it on your desk. Now, every time that you hear something too good to be true, I want you to look at that. I want you to remember, man, old Fearless Floyd warned us about stuff like that. Maybe I should go do my own research. And that concludes that. Now, I can tell you as a fact that Todd's no smarter than anybody else. He's doing the same thing everybody else is. He's copy and pasting. If you go look at his bond filed in the Colorado Secretary of State's office, it's the bond straight out of the redemption manual. Straight out. His collateral clause, basically straight out. You know, he's added some stuff to it, which a lot of people do. For the most part, copy and paste, boilerplate. Same thing Anna Von Reitz did back in the 20-teens in Wisconsin. Just go look it up. That's why I'm amazed, man. Y'all just like jump in and follow these people, man. Just start throwing them money. Yeah, you want more? You want more? You want more? We're even more confused. Keep talking over his head and giving those big words and throwing farm numbers out here. We can't keep up with it. IRS, FBI, SEC. Where are we at? And that's where they get you. They start throwing out these different statutes you're trying to wrap your head around on Title 26, Title 15, Title 18, Title 42, Title 28. You get it? So in my humble opinion, I being a moron, talk to his laptop, who has nothing else to do except research people because, goddamn, man, you know, I just don't have a life. I don't have anything to do. No, I did this for you guys, okay, just to show you that, you know, I don't know why these people lie. I mean, he just screwed up his whole reputation. You're more than welcome to go do your own search. You're more than welcome to go knock on some doors and ask. Hello? I made some phone calls today, and I'm going to get some return phone calls. And they're going to verify a lot of stuff. So we're going to see. Again, you know, I'm probably going to piss a whole lot of people off. And I'm sorry. If you got, you got. Stop getting got. Do your own research. Study your ass off. Follow people, okay, who just don't want your money in a bunch of consultations. They're actually trying to get you to A to Z and know how to get you there. And there's very few of those people out there. And most of them, they're not soliciting. They're not going on other people's shows and going, oh, rah, 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 rah. No, they got their own gig. They're busy. They're tired. They talk to people ad nauseum. They're out there. I talk to those people. I know who they are. That's why I said, you know, when I hit Todd up with my invitation, I said, look, bro, I know who the players are, all of y'all. And when you pop up and you got the pathway and and you say this and I go look and guess what? Your foundation's crumbling. Your cornerstone's defective. Because the whole hook is, my dad's a former judge. I grew up in a law firm. My aunt and uncle owned a bank. I grew up in the bank. I know everything about law and finance. You don't even have to do that, dude. You can say, you know what? I put my fucking nose to the grindstone after I went to jail and I studied my ass off and I learned all this knowledge and I'm here to share it with you. But you did what you did. And I don't know why. I don't even care to know why. So I really don't want to hear any more about Todd Duell because this whole thing popped up. Okay? The whole thing popped up. As soon as I got the first fucking document, they sent it to me and I opened it up and I was like, that's Bill Pittman. That's his document. I've got that document. I've possessed that document for 6 years now. And somebody went and bought into somebody's subscription, downloaded all that material. Was like, oh, this looks familiar, and sent it to me. I looked at it and went, that's Bill's paperwork. And now it's the second time it's been thrown in my lap through the same person who's selling it as their own paperwork, their own process. And when I sent this to this group, they just like poo-pooed it. Red flag, but we're going to what? We're going to be in denial because the reward's greater than the pain and suffering of admitting you got. The shame and embarrassment, get over it. You got. Big deal. Take a lesson, take the licking and bump it on down. Next. Don't be stuck on stupid. Y'all keep getting in these circle jerks with these fucking yahoos. Soon as As soon as I heard Birthright movie, Todd Duell, and David Lester Straight, the guy who sent his wife to prison, really, y'all, and I was gonna rent it and watch it until I started investigating Todd Duell. I was like, what? This red flag. That don't add up. What the fuck? What? Hold on. I'm not even going to watch this movie now. I'm going to find out who this guy is because he's lying. He's flat out lying. There's no record of his dad being a judge, a law professor, an attorney. And that's easy to find. And I did my bona fides. I did what I was supposed to do. I did a very thorough, extensive research. I've probably spent 40 hours on this. My own time. I sacrificed it to make these 4 parts for you. And it's probably going to get ignored. Probably will not get over 1,000 views. And people will still go out there and get ripped off, scammed, kicked down the road. And next year, guess what? You'll be in December and you'll be like, man, I should have listened to that Fearless Floyd dude. But I didn't. And here I am a year later, less couple grand that I just spent with this fucking idiot guru who lied to everybody. And I'm no further along than I was. And I don't even know if the documents that I've been filing or all this stuff that I've been doing is even worth it, if it has any value. So all of it makes sense now. Y'all be careful out there. It's the wild, wild west, man. People are desperate. They're all scamming. I'm not saying everybody, but, you know, people are just scamming left and fucking right. Left and right. The economy sucks. Dollars just shrinking every day. I'm telling y'all, the all digital new world order, it's coming. Surveillance state is like right around the corner, and you guys are not going to be prepared. You all think you are. You're over here chasing these dreams when you should be looking at the broader picture. What if I get trapped in the matrix and can't get out? And then I'm stuck. I don't care how much private bullshit you file. AI is going to get it. Wrap it up on 2 hours. There you have it. The truth, the facts. I swear to tell truth, whole truth, not but truth, so help me God. Because I just want to present the facts, not my story. My stories are crazy, insane. Y'all have a good weekend. I got the 12 Days of Christmas. Started last night at midnight. $99 on trust book. This book, till inventory's gone, till all these are gone, $99. Get you one. Tomorrow will be the specialty trust book. This one. This will be $99 starting midnight tonight. Every day will be a new sale. Go to the fearlessfloydshow.com website and participate. You all have a very safe, happy, enjoyable weekend. God bless you all. I will see you when I see you. Thank you for being here.